It has just gone 8 o'clock Central African time. Good evening and welcome to the news bulletin at 8, brought to you by Eswatini TV. My name is Saneboy Ngwane alongside Zaman Zimanze. Thank you so much for choosing to stay with us. We're coming to you live from our Hospital Hill studios in Mbabane, and these are your top stories tonight. The Principal Secretary in the Ministry of ICT encourages Eswatini journalists to continue upholding good principles of journalism. The Manzini region has launched the Smile Ahead campaign to address challenges faced by school-going children as a result of COVID-19. And the Director of Agriculture says about 40% of food is wasted each year during the harvesting season due to the lack of proper harvesting techniques. And now the news in detail. Principal Secretary in the Ministry of Information, Communication and Technology, Maxwell Masuku, encourages Eswatini journalists to continue upholding good principles of the trade, such as the verification and cross-checking of facts before actual dissemination. Masuku was speaking as the world commemorates World Press Freedom Day, and our reporter Hlengwe Ndlovu has more on that story.
On the 3rd of May every year, countries world over commemorate World Press Freedom Day. This year, this day is being commemorated under the theme, Information as a Public Good. Principal Secretary in the Ministry of Information and Communication Technology, Maxwell Masuku, says the theme resonates well with the practice of journalism in Eswatini, as it highlights the fact that while information should be cherished, but journalists also need to strictly abide by the principles of the trade. Lim Kokwing University of Creative Technology Program Leader in the Department of Journalism, Kimonye Kamodi, says modern day's information society demands that journalists be vigilant at all times with handling information that comes their way.
There's been a high level of citizen journalism where everyone can share information. I think this theme is relevant and it's coming at the right time that we as journalists, we need to make sure that we take a stand, because we are the only people who have the right and relevant information that needs to be disseminated to the public. During COVID, there was a lot of panic because everyone had the capacities to send information.
UNESCO says journalists from across the world still face numerous challenges as they do their work, one of which is that during the outbreak of the COVID-19 pandemic, some journalists were harassed for their reporting on the handling of the pandemic, while in other instances, the public struggled to discern verified information from the falsehoods that flooded the internet. For Eswatini TV News, Hlengwe Ndlovu with Muzim in Mbabane.
Now, in a bid to address issues faced by young people, especially school-going children, such as early pregnancy and drug abuse, the Manzini Regional Administrator, Chief Gicha, has launched the Smile Ahead campaign. Chief Gicha says young people are the future and they need to be guided to the right direction. Chief Gicha was speaking during the official launch of the campaign in Manzini.
The effect of COVID-19 on learners have forced children to be away from school for months. This has brought serious issues such as teenage pregnancies and substance abuse. The Manzini Region's administrator, in partnership with the Manzini Region's COVID-19 task team, different organizations, the Royal Eswatini Police Service and other stakeholders, launched the Smile Ahead campaign, which seeks to guide children on the right path. The Manzini Region Administrator, Chief Gicha, says some of the topics they will be addressing in different communities includes sexual abuse.
Lokubukakele lokutawugijinyiswa etikolweni kugijinyiswa emakhaya. Sengishito lokubili ukuthi substance abuse, sexual abuse, kunabo early marriage. Lese kubona bathi bantfana seba galuja inzambo. Bafike ekuqala la kumethi ngabe bagcina khona. Lokho kuyadinga ukukhunyiswa nebatali emakhaya. Imimango bobaphe dikhulu. Solo akhona amaphesa sitabe sihamba nawo siyofika sibakhulumise ukuthi live alimi ngokuthi bese sijamba inzambo. Aliphili Banfana abantu uthi umethe athole kumese akuthola namuhla alungisela ukuthi atoba umuntu kusasa. Sibonile sekunengi labo early pregnancies. Siyathi banfana labanengi abakabiyele esikolweni. Ngilapho nalapho sifuna ukukhulumisa labantwana esikolweni kuthi abakukhweshela isikhathi sakho siyeda bayabakubita ukuthi labanye mhlambe jumping the gun yini so jake kufika ngale ngempilo sibonile mhlambe kuhlupheka nekubita kwetinkinga kugcine abantwana sebasenjetiswa lapho ngakamethi ngabasenswa kona i-child labor.
The Royal Eswatini Police representative Pindile Vilagati says issues involving children are a cause for concern. She says that children are the future of the country. They need proper guidance.
Bone indzaba yekuhlukubeteka kwabantwana mhlambe njengalokho sisho ngetenhlala kahle ngekwetenhlala kahle tonke tintfo leto lesivulele emehlo sijabuleke ukuthi sinemithetho livele lisakhele yona njengalokho sibonile umthetho wa 2012 lobuka indzaba yenhlala kahle yemfana uveta ukuthi nawe wena loseceleni ubonile kwendeka lokho wangathathi isinyathelo kuyawuthi lokho vele kukumeme nawe kube licala kuwe.
The Smile campaign will not leave behind parents and guidance. For Eswatini TV News Sondomlangeni, pictures from the Royal Eswatini Police Service.
Nature says community leaders play a significant role in the fight against HIV and AIDS in the country and in making sure that communities cooperate towards the achievement of the national goal of ending AIDS by 2022. Now, this was said by Nature Director Kanyagwezwe Mabuza in a meeting with the Hoho community leaders in a meeting that was held at Kobolondlo Hall in Pikes Peak on Monday.
During the meeting between Nature and Hoho traditional leaders, the discussions were centered around strategic plans to be implemented in communities to ensure participation towards a significant reduction of HIV cases in the country. The National Executive Director of Nature, Kanya Mabuza, says as an organization they will continue working in collaboration with the communities since the country is still battling to win this fight by 2022.
Sinesibekuqala kusisitole nombadibekile ukuthi itakuhla kanjena le-AIDS. Ngisangibonge bobaba angithenye emehlweni. Lokho akwendiwa nguNature futhi akwendiwa ngumuntu munye. Kwendiwa ngesipho sakangwane leli lisibukile.
Nature Regional Administrator for Hoho Gcinakunena says since communities are changing, it is important for the organization to know the needs of a community through the leaders.
Ushokuthi kulehlelo bezivele sisebenza ngalo sisebenza emangweni uningi lokuguqukayo noma kukhona lokuguqukile bese sithi namuhla sitawucela ukuthi manje sitokubika kubantu abadala kube khona lapho basivunulisa khona silihhovisi ukuthi lokho nalokho sesingakusebenza kanjani.
Traditional leaders expressed their different views and concerns about the kind of people that should be appointed to work with nature at community level. According to Nature, over 52,000 people in the Hoho region are on antiretroviral therapy. The organization therefore stressed that ending AIDS is part and parcel of the country's development. Reporting for Eswatini TV News is Pumapi Msweli, Pikes Peak.
The Director of Agriculture, Nelson Mavuso, says about 40% of food is wasted each year during the harvesting season due to the lack of proper harvesting techniques. Mavuso was revealing this when unpacking some of the techniques to farmers with regards to harvesting.
The post-COVID-19 economic recovery plan states that the country needs to work towards ensuring food security. The Director of Agriculture, Nelson Mavuso, outlines harvesting tips that will ensure the country realizes this goal.
We want to encourage our local farmers that it is the time now to collect all the produce that they have in their fields, especially because most of it has attained the stage where it can be harvested safely and put in proper drying structures, and also at the right period be threshed so that it becomes grain for proper storage. One of the important things that the farmers must remember is that the maize must reach physiological maturity, not over dry in the field and be exposed to all weather elements including insect pests like weevils because that's when they go into the field. The maize, when it starts growing brown, the leaves, and the maize, when you open the cob, you dehusk it, you remove the husk, and you look at the cob. When you remove the grain from the core, you find that at the base, it has developed a black layer. It means that maize is already reached physiological maturity. One method which we don't encourage, which results to heavy losses, is when you dehusk your maize, then throw it to the ground. One of the things is that you lose that cob. The other one is that the grains will be shelled from the maize before you pick it up. And that way we lost a lot of maize. About 40% was discovered in one survey that we did.
The plan states that the Ministry of Agriculture has proposed 21 development projects that will create 6,040 jobs. Reporting for Eswatini TV News, Nelson Ndangamandla with Sondom Langeni in Babane.
Eswatini's umbrella organization for female-owned businesses, Business Women Eswatini, through its flagship Vukan Bomage Suing Women Empowerment Program, will help establish a first-of-its-kind underwear garments producing factory in the kingdom. Now, Business Women Eswatini chairperson Toki Hao says the factory will be run by young people.
The Vukani Bomage project, which is being driven by Business Women Eswatini, was officially launched last year with the aim of economically uplifting women from the different constituencies in Eswatini through sewing much-needed items like shopping bags and face masks. Young women have now been co-opted into the Vukani Bomage project, with their major specialization being the design and manufacturing of women's underwear clothing. Business Women Eswatini chairperson Tokiho says the young women they work with have greatly inspired the idea of an underwear factory.
And we discovered that we have young girls that have been working with these women, producing and making these things that we were doing. So as Business Women of Eswatini, we then started engaging with these young girls and finding out their passion, what made them, what drove them into coming and working with the fabric and all that. So they shared their passion with us. We then decided to give them the opportunity and the chance of designing and showcasing what they are capable of doing. And voila, the women, the young girls, they were very excited. So we wanted to be the first ones with this Vukani Bomage youth, together with the Mages working together to produce this beautiful underwear that you see here.
Mandombi Dlamini, who is one of the young women sewing underwears, says Eswatini has a big market for locally sewn underwears, as there is no underwear factory in the kingdom.
We're able to learn from these women how to make business. And we, as a youth, we have set a plan to have to design panties and bras, which is things that are in demand in Swaziland. As we know that in Swaziland we don't have a factory which produces panties and underwear.
Ho says Business Women Eswatini is always exploring ways of complementing government's job creation opportunities. For Eswatini TV News, Hlengiwe Ndlovu with Muzim Konda in Matapa.
The Commissioner of Refugees in the country, Thandi Khumalo, says the kingdom is currently welcoming normal to low refugees. Khumalo was speaking when giving an update on refugees that are coming into the country. Our reporter Sondom Langeni has more on that story.
The UN Refugee Agency, UNHCR, has called on Mozambique's neighbors to provide access to territory and asylum to those escaping violence in Palma. According to the UNHCR, the conflict has displaced nearly 700,000 people inside Mozambique. The Kingdom of Eswatini is ready to accommodate refugees from Mozambique. The Refugees Commissioner in Eswatini, Thandi Khumalo, says the country is currently receiving normal to low numbers of refugees from different countries.
Labaqhamuka eMozambique solo labangenako ngulaba lebesibatayele labaqhamuka kuletinye tindzawo basengakafiki la khaya. Ngicabanga ukuthi kwendiwa ukuthi vele lo monakalo wendeka eTulu neMozambique. Kunga-affecteka lamavela njengabo Tanzania lasedvute nalo monakalo ngoba kusemnceleni weTanzania. kulungela singasho ukuthi silungele nase kunenyanza leyo befikile kepha ke nabo kungaya ngekuthi bangena nje bangakanani sinayo yini icapacity kepha ke konke kuphinze kubikwe kubo bakamhlaba kuthina kungaba simo lesingedulu kwemandla ethu sisebenzisana nabo baka UNHCR ngibo lesikhala kubo.
In a statement by UNHCR, officials have warned that there could be an increase in numbers of refugees by June this year if the ongoing violence does not stop. For Eswatini TV News, Sondomlangen in Babane.
The Royal Eswatini Police Service has kick-started a campaign aimed at discouraging excessively high speed in the country's roads. Chief Police Information and Communications Officer Pindile Vilagati says over 1,000 overspeeding motorists have already been arrested since the campaign started last week. Our reporter Hlengwen Ndlovu has more on that story.
After noting that since the year began, the major cause of most traffic accidents in Eswatini was overspeeding, followed by drink driving, police have since launched a major road traffic campaign aimed at discouraging overspeeding in the kingdom's roads. Chief Police Information and Communications Officer Pindile Vilagati warns motorists to strictly comply with all traffic signs, especially since traffic police have been deployed in all the country's roads.
As a Royal Eswatini Police Service, we have engaged in an operation that is focusing on excessive speed as well as drunken driving in all the roads of the country. We have observed that we have a contribution, or it's a cause of most of the accidents that we experience in the country. So we'll be arresting anyone who drives beyond the stipulated speed in all the roads of the country. We encourage everyone to comply with the road signs in regard to speed in that particular road at that time. The operation will last for 4 weeks. We have already started, and in the 1 week we started, we have already arrested 1,065 people for overspeeding. We also noted that most of the accidents that occur in the country, which as we speak 146 accidents, are a result of overspeeding. So we are going to embark on this operation for this duration, but that doesn't mean after that we will stop, we'll continue. So we appeal to the nation to comply. If you have seen a 60 sign that tells you should drive 60 per kilometer per hour in that speed, you should maintain that speed until you get a new sign that tells you of another speed.
Vilagati says it is unfortunate that so many lives have been lost in Eswatini as a result of overspeeding and drink driving. She warns that the law will take its course on motorists who break the law. For Eswatini TV News, Hlengiwe Ndlovu with Muzim Konda at Lozita.
The Eswatini Network Campaign for Education for All says despite the efforts done by government to uplift education sector, there is still a lot that needs to be done for this sector to develop. This was said by the program's officer Tulani Lushaba, who was unpacking the resolutions of the Global Action Week for the Education Workshop.
The theme for this year's Global Action Week for Education is More and Better Financing for Education. The Eswatini Network Campaign for Education for All campaigns manager Tulani Lushaba says last week's meeting was mainly to look at the challenges faced by the sector.
Kulomhlangano ke lebesinawo last week sitfolile lokho ukuthi yebo kona livela kangwane linikete education liphakelo elikhulu kanje nasizina sasingena la ekhaya sabuka liphakelo sahlahlela satfola ukuthi silive incube lesifuna ukuthi sikwende kuthuthukisa tindzaba temfundo leti tawuthi ngatona timali.
He says one of the issues that was raised was the need for more support and increase of the education budget. He further says there is also a need for supporting children with disabilities for them to get equal opportunities in education. Lushaba says that early childhood learning is another aspect of education that has not been getting attention. However, for the sector to flourish, there is a need for them not to be left behind. He states that teachers also need to be be trained so that they can adapt to the times, especially the digital era.
Imfundo ikakhulu bangene eliphansi sibaningeta bonke abantwana sethinzaba dabo thishela siyathi ukuthi umhlaba uyashintsha lebe singike itolo mhlawumbe asasibona namhlanyalo sekuvame kakhulu tinzaba tebuchwephesha ne-technology lapho khona sekukhuthathwa ukuthi kufune umcwana ukuthi nabothishana bafunze babe nato lawo ma-skills mhlawumbe lahambelana mhlawumbe nalesikhathi lesiki.
Government allocated 3.5 billion emalangeni to the education sector. Reporting for Eswatini TV News, Nelson Dlangamandla with Sonto Mlangeni in Babane.
In a bid to ensure that Stegi Town Council development projects are implemented in a sustainable manner, the town has partnered with IDM colleges on capacitating their employees. The town CEO, Stembile Smelane, says leadership lessons assist employees to push the organization's vision forward. Smelane was speaking during a leadership workshop in Eswatini.
Sitegi Town Council employees have gotten the opportunity to be capacitated on leadership and communication with the aim of ensuring that their leadership skills are enhanced. According to Sitegi Town Council CEO Stembile Dlamini, the leadership skills will address some of the challenges they had.
As we're implementing our community scorecards project, we've gotten the opportunity to do a reflection of our institution to the interaction with the community, and during our interactions we were convinced that there is a gap as far as leadership and communication is concerned. Hence we've decided to close that gap with this training, and in this training we've partnered with IDM, whom we believe they are experienced in providing such leadership training courses. And we really hope that our councillors will not be the same after the training.
Victor Sbanze, IDM representative, says that leadership skills have the potential of taking an organization to the next level.
I think the skills of the leadership of the Stegi Town Council in the two aspects, that is leadership and communication, because in their view and in our view, we have sat down together to discuss and found that we need to empower them on the two aspects, since they are the key or pivotal components in terms of leadership and leading people to the right direction, with the mandate they have, taking them to the future, taking them to the first world status. We think partnering together and giving them those trainings in these two aspects will take them afar.
In the past few weeks, municipalities in Eswatini have presented their development plans to the Ministry of Housing and Development. This workshop will ensure that those development plans are a success, especially for Sitegi Town Council. For Eswatini TV News, Sonto Mlangeni with Nelson Dlangamandla in Ezulwini.
The Eswatini Breast and Cervical Cancer Network says last month a total of 290 people have been screened for cervical and breast cancer. The director of the network, Dengetile Bega, says these numbers are encouraging, especially because they had stopped the program due to the outbreak of the COVID-19 pandemic.
The Eswatini Breast and Cervical Cancer Network says they have spread their screening program to the Howo region, which was only offered in the Shiselweni and Manzini regions. The director, Dengetile Kubega Mange, says this week they will be at the Nzingeni constituency.
Siyalibona lesasasa kakhulu bantu banawo lomdlandla angibekise nje kule nyanga lephelile yamabasa bantu lesibayifolile nje laba benemdlandla ukuthi batihlole umdlavuza welibele babe 185.
She says that last month, 185 people were screened for breast cancer and 105 for cervical cancer. She continues to say that it is important for people to know that cancer should be taken seriously, and the best way to do this is through screening. She further says, as an organization, they will continue to support cancer survivors. Mangwe states that through their program of home-based care visits, they are hoping to reach out to them.
Lokunye futhi lesingafisa ukuthi sikugcizelele esevent semaswati ukuthi si Eswatini Breast and Cervical Cancer Network siqhubekile futhi nekuhambela emakhaya kungena ngenyalo likhaya ngekhaya kuvakashela tinini tetfu lesa sivele sasidadi ke tona ngokuthi tinalo hlobo loluthite lwamdlavuza.
The post-COVID-19 economic recovery plan states that between 2016 and 2017, about 2,077 new cancer cases were recorded in the kingdom. Reporting for Eswatini TV News, Nelson Ndlangamandla with Sonto Mlangeni in Babane.
Welcome back. Now we take a look at news making headlines in the world of sports. Mbabane Swallows captain Tony Tsabetse says clubs must find a way of teaching young players not only football tactics, but also life skills for them to last longer in their playing career. Tsabetse says these players are the future of the national team. Our reporter Linda Dlamini has more on that story.
Many football coaches around the world prefer to play with young players. However, those young stars need to be guided for them to have successful careers. Coaches have also noted the need to capacitate young stars with life skills so that they can be able to make wise decisions and something to fall on when their soccer careers is over. Mbabane Swallows captain Tony Tsabetse, who made his Premier League debut at the age of 17, says it is important for young stars to be guided.
It's upon the teams to make sure they try and teach these boys and put them in the right orders. But to do that, you need to teach them many life skills. Would say, how do you behave? But at the current moment, we don't have that, and as a result, we're losing these young boys. Which we need them for future, we need them for the national team. But at the end of the day, if we lose them now, it means we don't have future. But I'll advise them, let's sit them down, let's find a way, which is not now, find a professional way, because they need to hear it from a professional, that will give them even my examples.
Tsabetse added that professional psychologists, motivational speakers, and financial advisors can play a vital role in guiding young players and help them on how to use their money and conduct themselves off the field. Reporting for Eswatini TV Sports, I'm Linda Dlamini, Mbabane.
Well, Eswatini, that brings us to the conclusion of our news bulletin at 8 here at Eswatini TV. But before we go, here's a quick reminder of our top stories tonight. The Principal Secretary in the Ministry of ICT encourages Eswatini journalists to continue upholding good principles of journalism. The Manzini region has launched the Smile Ahead campaign to address challenges faced by school-going children as a result of COVID-19. And the Director of Agriculture says about 40% of food is wasted each year during the harvesting season due to the lack of proper harvesting techniques. Well, beautiful kingdom of Eswatini. That brings us to the conclusion of our news bulletin at 8 here at Eswatini TV. Thank you so much for choosing to stay with us. We shall cross over to the Weather Center for a detailed weather report from us and the rest of the transmission crew here at Eswatini TV. For now, it's good night and God bless.